Hello and welcome to the Face Building Podcast, episode 75, with your lovely and amazing host, Vladi Kuna.
And Norman Gräter. Hi, guys.
We greet you. Today's topic is a very, very easy thing on one side, because many people do it, but challenging to change it. And we call it people pleasing. There are so many people, maybe you are one of them, that say, yeah, I would love to do something different. I'm not really keen on doing what I'm doing right now. I don't really like what I'm doing right now. But then the but comes. It's about the money. It's about we've known each other for 40 years. Excuses, good reasoning, whatever it is. But you're not true to yourself. You're just pleasing others because you have one fear. And this is where we want to dig into today. The fear of not being loved or not being good enough, whatever good enough means for you. And that's our today's topic that wanna look at from left and right, and what we could do, hopefully at the end of our 30 minutes, that we know, how can I be a bit more of myself? Because it's not that you change completely, it's how can I change a little and a little more, and tomorrow a little more towards the person I really am, and more away from the people pleaser, because you think there would be consequences when you say, no, that's it, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And to take something ahead right now, there are consequences in each and every way. If you think I leave everything as it is, there are consequences based on that. So don't think that with one decision you solve it all and there are no consequences, or you leave everything as it is. It has consequences for you. You continue living a lie. You continue suffering. And if that's totally okay, that the other one does not probably get hurt, because you're not really sure if they would be hurt or if they would not care at all, you stay suffering and you're living a lie. And the question is, do you like living a lie? Because that's a huge consequence for you that you have. Vladi, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, it's so funny because people pleasing, most of us do it. We've seen in few people that they are no people pleasers, but you can tell that they know nonsense. And usually where people say, oh, I have to be, doing this to not to upset, it's about approval. So people pleasing and approval are very tied together. And I love Wayne Dyer, who talks, and that is actually how we 8 years ago or 7 years ago met with Norman. He sent me a video from Wayne Dyer about the self-love and the approval, and that was the part that hit me the most, because I didn't think that I actually needed approval. I love the way he talks about it. It's not that you don't enjoy it. You write a book, you create a success in a business, you achieve your weight loss, or, you do something in your life that really pleases you as an achievement. It's so you enjoy approval, but it's a different kind of a thing than needing an approval. And really, people pleasing starts in childhood. We want to make our parents happy. So we want to be a good girl and good boy. And that's where it starts. We don't necessarily do the things that our heart tells us. And, kids are so amazing. They just like fearless and limitless, and they want to do things. And we kind of mold them into our limitations. The way was like, you shouldn't do that and be careful. And if there is a child climbing over the fence, you just tell them 5 times, like you're going to fall down and break a leg. Why would we already plant the seed of telling them the worst thing? But that's what we all do at a certain point. People pleasing is the same thing. It comes to very hardcore, which is we want to be, like Norman said, we want to be loved, but really we want to be seen, we want to be heard, and we want to be respected and understood, but in a different way. Not just see that you look at the person, but see their soul, see and be understood the way you actually mean it, not the way it sometimes sounds. And obviously it depends whether people know you better or not. They know what you mean, even if you say it in a wrong way, but not necessarily in a new environment, a new community. So it's also how you communicate and what you say. But people pleasing is a huge issue for majority of people, because we would necessarily not do things that we would love, the things we intuitively feel is the right thing for us to do. And remember, it starts with self-love. So if you don't fill your cup first, you cannot give what you don't have. Very simple. If your cup is let's say you're down to 25%, you're drained, you're exhausted, you're tired, you're having some problems, whether financial health or love problems. And then out of the 25%, you give 100% every day. You are tired and you know from what you feel, because you partly want to please people. What will other people think about me? What will my clients think? What will the social media think? It's this pressure, the social pressure, which is huge. But if you are giving 100% out of 25%, it's never enough. So you need to fill that cup first. And when you're on 80%, now you can give 20% out and you're better off, because really it's you give more, higher energy, higher frequency. And that's the key. It's like when you're giving higher frequency stuff, you give way more than giving low frequency 100%. So really, are you a people pleaser, or are you following what you feel is right for you? Norman, back to you.
I love that. And I was reminded, I have no clue where this goes, about the SOS. When you're at sea, we all know the SOS, and SOS is an acronym for Save Our Souls. And so many people are sending out the SOS. Their souls want to be saved, and not the human body. The soul wants to be saved. And as you mentioned, Wayne Dyer, I was just reminded about him and this clip that we listened for months, I think, every morning, where he says, if somebody says something bad about you and it hurts you, this means that the opinion about yourself when it comes to the other person is somewhere up here, level 10, and the opinion about yourself must be lower, maybe on a level 7. Otherwise, it would not hurt you if you would not give more power or strength or whatever you want to call it into the opinion of the other. And it's the same with the self-talk that we have, all the habits we have. You said, oh, I want to call this possible client that I will gain. Yeah, but today, yeah, maybe it's not a good idea because it's so beautiful weather and he or she might be out of the office. It's just excuse-itis. One excuse after the other. So all those habits that talk to you, all the self-talk, that the mind chatter. And I'm not talking about a gut feeling. If you have a gut feeling, say, I'm not quite sure, today seems not a good day, I don't know why, there's no rational idea behind it, then call the next day. But all the excuses, all the habits, running away, oh, he could say no, oh, if I tell him the price, maybe he says it's too high and he does not want to have that, then I don't feel loved. Yeah, but it has nothing to do with you. He wants to buy a product. And if he does not see the value of the product, then it's okay. Yeah, but Norman, I am the product. No, you're not. I'm a professional speaker. Of course, I deliver the product through my voice. But this is my job as a speaker. But this is not Norman Gräter being on stage. Yes, it is. But hopefully you get what I mean. I'm there as a speaker and I'm not there as a private person, as the soul, as everything that is. And if somebody has an issue with what the speaker Norman Gräter said, with the head speaker up front, then the speaker can say, yeah, I'm listening to that. It sounds valuable. Or the speaker says, like, who are you? Have you ever stood on stage? It's like, I think we talked about that before, taking advice from people that have no children. But they have the best advice how to raise your children and how to keep them quiet. And I would do this and I would do that. And you say, yeah, you probably did not live through the 10 years before that I did. And whatever you suggest sounds smart, but it just did not work in the style how I did it. And maybe it was wrong or right, but you have no experience. Don't blame me that I'm always frustrated when I'm with the kids. Yeah, you have never have kids. So you don't know how it is, this constant pressure and the stuff and the teenager age when they come and everything is stupid and they're going against. So it's a similar thing. Do I go with everything that my teenager son or daughter says because I want to be loved? And if yes, the reason might be that you have kids in the first place, that you have somebody to love you. Could this be? Because you were unhappy in a relationship. And then at one point you said, my wife, my husband did not really take care of me anymore, whatever that means in your life. I need something that loves me, that sees me, that respects me, that hears me, what Vladi just shared. You have children because they give you unconditional love until a certain age. Until a certain age where you think, that's very demanding. then you need a new hobby, or you stick to the hobby and you still treat your 38-year-old son like he would be 3 years of age. No, I have to tell him. I have to tell him my opinion. Yeah, you can do that, but he's a grown up by now. Just leave the other souls alone. Let them make their own experience in life. But this all comes back to this need for being seen and heard and respected. And at the end of the day, being loved, because if we're not part of the tribe, we have the fear of being killed. And back in the old days, probably this was true. Today, it's not true in the most places where we all live. Still, our brain was not told that the situation is totally different and that you could survive a week by yourself. But as we see with most people, without Wi-Fi and internet, they don't survive half a day. They totally go nuts because they have nothing that disturbs them from their pain, and they would have to look at themselves. And that's what many people don't want to have.
It's so true, and it's so connected to authenticity. If you guys think about that, it's like, what is it? Is this is your life? You have one life to live. One. How are you going to transform it quickly, or just stay in it forever? Because I love what Bob Proctor used to say. He said, remember two things, because I always used to believe in stuckness. You know, like I occasionally still, I just realized I've used it in an earlier conversation with Norman, but when you say, well, I feel stuck, because that's how we humans refer to a point where we kind of not sure which direction to take, or we're not sure on our next right step. However, it really comes down to you either growing or you're disintegrating. There is no in between. You're either moving forward or you're going backwards. It's nothing really stagnates. Energy just moves. Remember, it's like energy is like motion in ocean. It's always vibrates. Everything always vibrates. So what is it that you really truly care about? You want to be loved is the core. And we are going to remind you many times on this call, because it is about that. We think, I'm going to my parent, let me just actually go back. So childhood, right? We want to be a good girl and good boy. Or if I do this right, my mom will be happy. I will make my parents happy. They will be proud of me. And that's why we condition ourselves to do something for someone. Not really what we will. I'd love to do it this way, but if I do it this way, I know my mom will not be upset because I'm not going to be climbing over the fence, and she told me I can get hurt and all the stuff. You know, you're repeating all the stuff that you hear. And remember, your thinking creates your world. So what are the thoughts? And, you know, looking back into, not just back, but looking on all the things that go wrong in my life, it's because I am not thinking right. And think about a situation, simple everyday situation. You might not like your husband or wife. They're putting clothes on the floor, and they keep putting them on the floor, and you keep getting upset about it every day. You're thinking about it, and you already walk into the house, and it's possible you might even have a thought thinking, I hope they didn't leave all the stuff on the floor again. You're literally creating more of piles, more rooms, more stuff, instead of actually changing the way. I remember when I was helping in a Montessori educational system, the way Madame Montessori created it was, we could not say to the children, stop running. We had to tell them, keep walking. So you're giving them the positive commands that don't feel like, don't do it. Norma mentioning teenagers. I have two in the house, or teenager and teenager, they're differentiating. And you tell them something, don't do that. And for them, it's like, yep, let's do that. She said, don't. So for me, it means do. So if you think about that in a relationship, you know, it's like, I hate when you do that. Well, I hate when you do this. And, you know, like that is this ongoing tennis match. Self-talk, really approval is about, we want to be seen. But think about this. What is the perception you have? How do you want to be seen? Because you already know exactly, and you create this world you live in, and you want people to feel that and see you as this, but are you matching that as well? And that's where the kind of clash becomes a little bit, that we would love to be seen this way, but we're not acting that way. We're not actually expressing ourselves that way. And we keep talking, and I love that Norman pointed this out, is walk your talk. You can't keep talking about something and do something else. If you're saying something, do it. If your action doesn't match your words, you're completely not aligned to your soul, the SOS. before I hand it to Norman, if you're interested, I love Emil Coué with the Self-Mastery Through Conscious Autosuggestion. It's a very well-written book on how you talk to yourself and the way we talk out to ourselves, because we create certain opinions, we make false assumption what people think about us, and they probably don't even care, because the bottom line, everybody just cares for themselves to start with. They want to do better, they want to be healthier, they want to be fitter, sexier, looking better, making more money, creating more jobs, creating stuff, but really it starts there. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's not selfish. And I'll hand it with that to Nora.
I'm just being reminded of what we spoke off record before we pressed record. What you just mentioned, Vladi, is so true. If the action part is not coming, you can go to 1 trillion seminars and read many books and go to masters and gurus and everything in between. And you always think, nah, I need this golden nugget, one more golden nugget. I think I'm very, very close. I just need this one more information that helps. Probably you already got the information with the first sentence in the first book that you read. And the sentence would be, what would you love? What's your answer? And you say, I don't know. But I continue reading because I can think about it tomorrow or in 5 days or when I finish the book, and then I start reading again. And whenever you start reading again, you just jump over this question and you say, I don't have time to answer questions. I need to find the golden nugget, need to find the solution. What if the whole solution would be in there? What would you love? And then what Vladi just said, and then just take action. And sometimes it means that you say no to someone. But for some of us, it's very challenging. And as you spoke about the childhood and how we got raised, it's similar with how some habits got created. The brain is there to collect solutions. Strangely, the brain does not connect the solution to a problem. It just saves the solution. Go back into the first days and weeks when we were born. You scream your lungs out when you pooped, when you are hungry, when you're thirsty, when you're laying on the wrong side, when you want to get up, when you want to lay down. Screaming was always the solution. So the brain remembered, oh, screaming brings attention to me, somebody comes and runs. But now after a couple of weeks or months, as we all know as former children or even though as parents, sometimes we let the child cry. And you say, yeah, it's just this fussy thing. He or she is just too lazy to pick up his or her own bottle to drink. Let them find a solution. So you realize, oh, that I get love, that I get attention, I have to do more. And at one point I have to smile and people say, oh, that's great. And then I have to walk. So you have to do more and more and more to get the love that you received in early days just with screaming. But your brain, your subconscious mind saved that because it worked. Sometimes in situations when you're then older in life, at your relationship or at work, it's a similar thing. At one point when the habit kicks in, you just snap and you start screaming. And you don't really know why. Because it's a solution that helped you in very, very early ages. But as it was never related to the solution in your mind, like, oh, it was just for pure survival, because without food and without mommy and daddy coming, I will just die. The brain did not save that. It was just, oh, the solution worked. Let's save that and use that when needed. And that's where we have to change the habits. This habit of pleasing others. I'm a big fan of Love is Blind. I think I mentioned that from time to time. And I remember this one lady, and she said no at the altar, which is, of course, possible. That's the idea of the show. Can people fall in love without seeing them, then go through a week of beautiful vacation, then live 4 weeks together? Then there's the wedding and the marriage, if they say yes. And she said no. And he was so devastated because he said yes before. The next scene, you see her in her bridal room and being totally down and out and said, I hurt him so much. And the mother was so smart, her mother. She said, yes, but you know that it would not have worked. Would you have rather lived the lie, what I said earlier in the beginning of our podcast? Would you have lived the lie? Do you think that would have helped him, that you live a lie? That you play something that's not there? If there are no feelings, yeah, it's sad, but he will get over it. Is it better to rip off the plaster in a second and then it hurts a little, or make it inch by inch by inch and you suffer for the next hour? And that's what happens very often when we please people, but we don't please ourselves. So we hope that you start pleasing yourself a little more. And if you say, oh, how could I do that? Come back to the first question in the book. What would you love? What would you make just a little bit more happy? Not full time, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Just for a second, just for a minute. And then you feel better. And while you feel better, you think about what could I do or be or have now that makes me feel better for the next minute and the next minute and the next minute. And just stand up for yourself. We need more people that stand up for themselves, because the weak ones, the one that put their flag in the wind, wherever the wind blows, they are. We have enough of those. We need the authentic people, the true people. And like Wayne Dyer said, what Vladi mentioned earlier, just look after yourself and don't need the approval. And I remember that when he said, I like when people buy my books or come to my seminars, but I don't need that. It's not that I need the approval from their side. I enjoy it, but I don't need it. So make your life and your whole being, I want it, I choose it, but I don't need it.
I'm going to blend straight to what you said with what I love that he was talking about was you should be independent of opinion of other people. However, you should also become an independent of a praise of other people. Not just criticism, but also praise. You should really be so neutral that when people praise you, it feels good, but it's not that you need it. And I really like the word need in there, because you don't need that, you know that actually I'm happy with myself. And then, we in a personal development, especially with people around you who are not really into these materials and don't really believe what we believe, it really gets to that point where they're like, well, why would you do that? Oh, you don't need to read that book. Why are you reading that book for a fifth time? Why do you need to be sitting online? And like so many. But go back to, what does it do to you? How does it make you feel? How do you feel? Because really, when you think about progress over perfection, because that's very close to tie to what we're talking about today, it's just don't look for perfection, because you will find perfect job, perfect people, perfect everything if you stay who you are. And that is the lesson. I know lots of people say, what are the best lessons they've ever learned from other people? But this is the best lesson I've realized going through transformation myself. You will always have the best people. I always say the network is my net worth, or the other way around.
My net worth is my network.
Yes.
No, my network is
No,
my
it's
network.
my network. So I did say that right, but see? and I'm grateful for the best people I have. However, sometimes I'm meeting people and I'm thinking, why? Why did I attract that? We have to be open to, we can never grow if we don't experience adversity. If you don't go through betrayal, you cannot understand what trust means. If you don't go through a pain, you cannot understand what joy means. It's the different levels of love. There are people who say, oh, I love you, and they use the word, this is I'm sorry, I'm British, so I'm going to say this, love you, love you. It's like a habit of us using that word so lightly. Oh, especially Americans as well. Oh, love you, love. Oh my God, I love you, I love you, I love you. Europeans are more reserved. It's like we don't just throw I love you all over the place. It always makes me fun, because if you look at my texting, like I use hearts and emojis, and literally, some people, this is what you're texting to friends and guys and colleagues. Oh my God, like everyone knows me, so it's fine. But then again, it blends with you. If you receive a heart from someone cold for years, from an executive, all of a sudden, it flags up, right? And that's how we really feel the energy from people as well. Why do you want to be perfect? Because you just get better every day. 1% better today than I was yesterday. Compare yourself with yourself, yesterday or before. The comparison is a huge thing in approval, and it leads to what we're talking about here today. It really is like, why do we need approval? Why do we want people to actually please people? Why do we want to please people? Because we think we're going to be someone more. But if you fill your cup and you feel I am more than good enough, and if you don't like me, that is fine, you know, no, everybody will love you. And this is the thing where you will then attract the right people. And that is my biggest lesson I've learned. I do attract the right people because of staying who I am. And if I don't, it's because I need to learn something. And it usually happens in the future that you go, you know, people say, oh, I lost money. Well, maybe you needed to lose less money because then now you're running the $1 million corporations you want to. You can't handle this loss. Well, how do you want to handle that? Because loss is a part of a win and dying is part of a living. You know, like it really is important that you just don't take it personally and just stay truthful to yourself, like Norman said, and be authentic. Like live your life, not somebody else's. And if people don't like you the way you are, they're not your people. It's simple as that.
Yesterday, while I was on YouTube uploading something, I got a suggestion, and it was from an electronic festival, I think in Austria. I never heard about it. They had a great opening show with laser, with pyro. That's exactly my thing. And at one point in the middle, there was a story about, in German, it's an Eintagsfliege. An Eintagsfliege is a fly that lives for one day. Do you have a word for that, Vladi?
I don't know. I'm thinking.
The one-day fly? It's a little tiny thing. It just lives for a day. And the speaker suggested the Eintagsfliege, the fly that lives for one day. And says, what does the fly that lives for one day do? It's just a fly. It flies around. It enjoys being a fly and does all the thing it wants because it has one day on this planet to basically live. If the fly knows that or not doesn't matter, but the fly just enjoys being a fly.
Mayfly.
Mayfly, thank you so much. A
Google it, guys, for you.
Thank you. And we all should be more of a mayfly. Just live your life in the way you want. Like Vladi said earlier, make sure you know who your favorite people are, because Anke's dad is not doing very well. So she's there more often now. And she said it's the same thing whenever she talked to people that lost loved ones. They always regretted not spending enough time. And towards the end, when it's almost not possible anymore, you rush there every day, every week. You're there, you're there. Where I say, you know, you missed the last 49 years. It was not at least important to you to go there once a week or once a month. And that's totally okay. But sometimes we try to rescue something towards the end when it's too late. And the same is with you. Spend enough time with authentic people, people that are honest to you, that open their heart, where you have good conversations. What Vladi mentioned earlier, sometimes you meet with people and you think, what was that all about? That was a total waste of time. Make sure that your Mayfly one day used as good as possible. And if you say, luckily we have more than one day, says who? We don't know.
Yep.
We could have 5 more seconds and then it's over. We could have 5 more years. We could have 50 more years. But don't go into life and saying, oh, I do this later. Oh, no, I clear that with the person later, probably when they moved away or when they are dead, because then I can do my own thing. Oh, when the kids are out of the house, then we get a divorce. What do you show to your people? That you should suffer for 18 years? Don't live your dreams, don't make your own thing? Because it's great to play the family towards the outside. The first one that realize that are the kids. So they're not stupid. Rather than showing them, hey, if something does not match anymore, and that happens from time to time, let's just change course in the best interest of everyone. And of course, always one gets hurt. But it's like with Love is Blind. Do you want to live a lie? Do you want to play a lie and a kind of a theater act for the whole world and for the others? Is this really worth it? Or do you say, no, I do it like the Mayfly and I enjoy my life. I do not as I please in everything. Of course, we have to think a little bit ahead. But don't put everything towards later when I'm retired, because nobody knows if you get there. Therefore, believe in yourself, do more of what makes you happy, and we wish you a wonderful week, and we see and hear you again in episode 76. Have a lovely week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.